I would like to ask you a question. What do you fear? Or maybe I should actually say, how do you respond to fear? Because you see, the way we respond to fear, it shows what kind of grip fear has on us. The other day I came back from Florida, Palm Beach. I was there with Jane to visit different friends, and it was awesome after so many years to be able to hug a few of them. But some others we couldn't get in touch with because they were fearful of COVID, even though we have had it in November and we do have antibodies. So it was really a sad situation for us. And I was thinking of the beginning of time. I was thinking when God created everything that exists, including the earth, trees, animals, humans, and how everything was beautiful. And what he said actually was that it was very good. And then all of a sudden, with the fall, the breakdown of obedience, we see a reaction of Adam that is quite interesting. He says that he was hiding because he was fearful of God. It almost seems like with sin coming into the world, fear came into the world as well. Almost as if God created a perfect balance that was harmonious, and then sin brought in fear as well, which is from the enemy. And that balance that was created, that equilibrium, all of a sudden got broken. The relationship with God was altered, and we see Adam right away, shifting the blame. Well, the woman that you gave me did this and that. And Adam does the same. Well, the serpent, he was the deceiver and got me to do what he didn't want me to do. So that equilibrium, as I said, was broken, has been broken since. But we understand there are so many fears out there. Some seem to be primordial, almost like ingrained in us for the sake of survival. I'm thinking of the primitives who reacted, had this adrenaline rush as soon as they heard some dangerous noises, whether it was a lion, a tiger, a bear. So their life was in danger and the reaction was fight or flight with a shot of adrenaline. But what about fears of the unknown? What kind of foundation does that fear have? Think of fear of the dark. What's in the dark? Nothing. Yet we don't see it and we become fearful. Or I'm thinking of back in the days when we thought that the earth was flat, and the column of Hercules were called, the Strait of Gibraltar. Basically, if you went over that strait, you would just fall into oblivion unto your death. But if that was the case, then Columbus would have never ventured out, and we would have never discovered the Americas, where we are residing right now. Or even closer to home, I'm thinking of free diving. I got into free diving a while back, and the doctors back in those days were saying, well, if anyone goes beyond 50 meters, which is roughly about 167 feet, 168 feet, the body literally would explode. And then a few years later, I set the national record for the United States at 51 meters. And now actually the world record is even beyond 130 meters. So we see that some of these fears seems to be kind of unfounded, and yet they do block us, they do paralyze us. And speaking of blocking us, back in the days, end of November, beginning of December, when I got COVID, I had to confess that I was a little bit concerned because my blood oxygenation, the oxygen saturation started dropping. I was around 88, 89. And some friends of mine in Italy were taking different drugs, were taking steroids, were taking pills. And I didn't know what to do really. And then I had a visit with my cardiologist that did an MRI for my arteries, and they discovered, they said, well, do you see all the clouds in your lungs? I said, yes. I said, well, that is actually COVID. I thought, well, what do I have to do? And basically they said, just let your body fight it off. And that gave me a sense of peace. And I think there is a certain amount of freedom that is given when we know that certain situations are out of our control. And I think that the doctor par excellence, our maker, God, actually orders us to fear not. In the specific, is not just not to fear, is actually saying, do not let fear paralyze you. And why is he saying that? Well, there are about over 600 scriptures that deal with the word fear. But interestingly enough, 365 of them, one per day, tell us, do not fear. Why? Because I am with you. So if we are in him through Christ, we should not fear. Now, if we don't have the relationship, we have all the reason really to fear. Because as we said before, the enemy wants us to be fearful. And I don't think it's just the enemy that wants us to be fearful. I think that lately, especially, governments have been kind of intoxicated with this power, and they've abused of that concept of fear just to control us. And I don't think that is really living. And I know that they're doing that under the auspices of safety, but I see relationship unfortunately being broken, with friends, but even between husband and wife. They don't see eye to eye. There is a lot of friction that is created, and the enemy is having the upper hand. So I think that having courage doesn't mean really to eliminate fear, but it means to continue to move forward, knowing that God is at our side. And I wanted to read a couple of scriptures in regards to that. One is in Matthew 10:26, where he says, so have no fear of them. He is referring to the ungodly. For nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. So hopefully one day all of these things are going to come out to the surface. And then another one in 2 Timothy 1:7, he says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and discipline. And I would like to really rest, have peace actually in these promises, just like the physician told me, to have peace, knowing again that God is at our side, and God will take care of you, and God will take care of me. If you have any comments, I know this is a hot topic, just leave some of the comments in the section of comments in YouTube. And if you have even some ideas of what you would like to treat in the future as far as arguments is concerned, please let me know. Until then, continue to pray for me. I'm praying for you. Hopefully all of this will be behind us very soon. Ciao.